So this week is storytelling under the moon. We're going to talk about the power of storytelling from the stories handed down from ancestor to ancestor to the stories that we tell ourselves and the very power of our words. So storytelling's been around for centuries as a means of sharing information long before the written word. It's been used as a social and cultural activity and for entertainment, education, cultural preservation, or even instilling moral values. So we can also use storytelling to give our lives meaning and purpose. And we know that those who have purpose tend to be more resilient. And how we create meaning and purpose comes from connecting and contributing to something beyond ourselves, which includes storytelling, whether it's connecting to our ancestors or those that came before us through the stories we were told about our heritage, our customs, religious beliefs, traditions. And we can also use storytelling to change our personal narrative and drop the stories that no longer serve us, because there are also the negative stories that we've been told by others, whether it's parents or other authority figures, that we can change rather than perpetuating these stories. By intentionally changing how we speak to ourselves, adopting a kinder, more self-compassionate voice, we can change that running narrative, right, that clutters up our head so often. And also by recognizing our essential self, we can see the power and simplicity in our fundamental essence, in just being, right? It's really important to take some time to reflect on the stories that you've been told or the stories that you're telling yourself right now, and make an effort to let go of the ones that no longer serve you, right? Great stories happen to those who tell them, quote by Ira Glass. All right, so we're going to move into our formal meditation, formal portion of our meditation right now. So just taking a moment to adjust your posture, making yourself comfortable, even if it means laying down, if that feels supportive for you. And if it feels right in this moment, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes or just soften your gaze. And then just take a moment to allow yourself to settle. Maybe even allowing yourself a sense of arriving in the moment, right? So first, that sense of arriving in the space that you're in and arriving in the chair that you're sitting in. And then arriving at your own door, arriving in your own body. So sitting here and knowing that you're sitting here, and maybe even tuning into the touch points of feet on the floor or sits bones in the chair or your hands touching each other or in your lap as a way of further anchoring into the body. And as you're anchoring into the body, you're present in this moment, anchoring into this moment, the only one that we have. And perhaps letting go of anything that came before and anything that may come later on. So really giving yourself permission to be here, fully present with yourself and for yourself. Maybe feeling the gentle movement of the body with each breath. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, just being your essential self. Just being in this moment. And if the mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. That's what minds do. But just gently guiding it back to this moment, to just being. And if it's helpful, tuning into the breath, using the breath as an anchor into the body and into the moment. Just feeling the breath sweeping in and out of the body. Not needing to change it in any way, but just following along, keeping good company as you would with a good friend. So following each inhalation and each exhalation. One breath in, one breath out. Another breath in, another breath out. Maybe focusing your attention even more narrowly on the breath, as if you were shining the beam of a flashlight, the beam of awareness onto the breath. Following each breath all the way to the end, and perhaps noticing how it just naturally turns into the next breath. Maybe even noticing where in the body you can feel the breath in this moment most vividly. And just tuning in, whether it's the breath in the belly or feeling it in the chest or the back of the throat. Where am I feeling the breath in this moment? And now, as you're ready, taking a nice deep inhalation and exhalation. Just continuing to touch base with the flow of our own breathing. And now perhaps tuning in and taking your own internal temperature. How are you in this moment? And making space for whatever arises. Just staying tuned into your own internal landscape. And then as you're ready, bringing to mind a very deep and beautiful lake, the most beautiful lake that you've ever seen a photo of, or can imagine. And bringing in the details, holding that image in your mind's eye. Maybe imagining how the surface might be shimmering in the sunlight. And the lake that you are picturing may be deep or shallow, green or blue, muddy or clear. And then imagining with no wind, the surface will be flat, almost mirror-like, reflecting trees and rocks, sky, clouds. And when the moon comes, it dances on the lake and is reflected along with the outline of trees and shadows. So the surface of the lake may be serene and peaceful, shimmering in the moonlit sky. But the lake isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's interrupted by howling winds and fierce rain. Yet while the surface of the lake might be churning, deep below, the lake remains still. It remains its essential self. Just as the lake, we can find stillness too, deep within, while the storms of our lives come and go. Taking a few more breaths, holding the image of deep and still waters, perhaps embodying this stillness for yourself. Feeling in every cell of your body this stillness, this invitation for stillness. And in this moment, allowing yourself to just be. And tuning into your essential self. So just thinking about the I am of who you are. And just seeing if you can let go of all the labels that we place on ourselves. I am Catherine. I am Joe. I am a mother, a father. I am a wife, a daughter, sister, teacher, or I am not good at math, not good enough, or I am good at writing, I am artistic. These are the stories that we tell ourselves. What is left when the stories fall away? What are we when just the I am is left? This is the fundamental essence of who we are. So taking a moment to perhaps allow yourself to feel into the I am of who you are. I am. Feel the strength of those two words. And I invite you to recognize that anything else is a story you tell yourself or others have told you. So in this way, with intention, you can change a narrative that does not serve you. So just taking a moment now to think about one story that you may be telling yourself that doesn't serve you, that may not even be true. And begin to see if you can change the story or let go of a label. It may be something you've been told since childhood that you are now continuing to tell yourself. It may be something as general as, I'm not good enough. Or perhaps it's something as specific as, I'm not good at math. Deep below a lake surface is a stillness that is free of all the external influences of turbulent weather. And so we too can go deep into our own stillness, where we can be free of the stories that circle our minds. And with intention, we can change those old stories to newer ones that uplift us and move us forward rather than keeping us stuck in self-limiting beliefs. Just allowing ourselves to hold these stories with some self-compassion and setting the intention to begin to release them. To begin to tell a new story. And maybe that new story is simply recognizing I am perfect in my own imperfections. We are all perfect in our own imperfections. And now just beginning to release this practice, resting in your own experience of it just as it is and just as you are. Allowing things to be just as they are, if just for now, in this moment. And then bringing an awareness back to the breath. Just gently resting your awareness on the breath. Coming and going. One breath after another. And then as you're continuing to follow your own breath, I'll end with a short quote, author unknown, simply allowing these words to wash over you. You can change your inner dialogue. You can rewrite the narrative in your mind. You don't have to submit to the way you've always told yourself the story. You don't have to submit to the way you've always told yourself the story. So as you're ready, just beginning to wiggle fingers and toes and allowing your eyes to gently open if they've been closed in your own time, and reorienting to the space around you, to the screen in front of you. And I just like to thank you for your practice today. And I'm going to leave you with an invitation. So take some time to reflect on the stories that you are telling yourself and set an intention to let go of the ones that don't serve you. Start a new story and see what happens. You might be very surprised.